Now we're back at the hands-on part of the recording with payment calculator project that needs to be modified to process multiple customers and calculate the average of their monthly payments. We're going to start the Visual Basic, and then we're going to open up a project, payment calculator project in particular, in the lecture subfolder of the 06_repeat_loops folder, which I will have in a different place as usual, where my recordings are kept. And once the project opens, we're going to right click and show the form in the designer view, and then we'll check out some of the additional buttons, clear input, average payment, and clear, as well as the additional list box called LST MTH PMTS that were added to the original or the last design that we had. Then we're going to switch to the calculate procedure that already exists, and we're going to just add at the bottom one additional statement. Remember, the calculate button click event procedure was used to calculate the monthly payment given all the possible inputs we had. We're not going to discuss those again. And then now at the bottom, after the payment is calculated for the current customer, we're going to add the following line of code: LST MTH payments dot items dot add, and then in parentheses we're going to add a payment dot to string with a C for the currency format. So each time we calculate a monthly payment with a different set of parameters for a different customer, the monthly payment will add up in the list. Once we stop doing that, let's save the changes and go back to the design. We're going to calculate the average of all the monthly payments that were added to the list, and we're going to do that with the following code: dim sum as double equals 0, which is going to add up all the monthly payments, dim average as double, which is eventually going to be its average. Here we're going to first check whether if LST monthly payments has any items. In other words, if the items.count property is greater than 0, in which case there are some monthly payments and we can do some calculations, average in particular. Otherwise, we're going to display a message box saying, in double quotes, you must first process some customers. Otherwise, there's really nothing to do. Okay, so back to the original if, we're going to create a for next loop using I as integer, starting with top of the list item with a select index of 0 to LST MTH payments dot items dot count -1, which is that n -1, n being the total count of items on the list. Imagine 5 or so. And then for each one of them, we're going to increment the sum variable by the C double of the item on the list, which is accessed through the items collection as we described on the slide. So simply going through, let's say, 5 payments, adding them all up into the sum, and then after the loop terminates, when it reaches the bottom of the list, exhausts all the items, we're going to calculate the average as sum divided by the total number of items, which we know is LST MTH payments items dot count. And then in the TXT average payment, we're going to display that average converted to string as currency. So this is essentially really it. The only other thing or a few things we want to do is we want to allow the user to clear inputs and then clear all these calculations. So we're going to code the click event of the button clear input, which is the one over here right at the top of the form to clear all the inputs. By that we mean the sales price, all the options, trade-in, down payment, term, interest rate, everything, as well as the LST payment, because it refers to a single input, not the aggregate. And that will be accomplished with code like txt price.clear. Then we are going to, for each one of the checkboxes in the option group, letter seats.checked is false. Then navigation is unchecked. Then park assist is unchecked. And finally, in this group, power locks is unchecked as well. After that, we're going to clear the txt trade-in box, and then we're going to uncheck the down payment, because that was the default we had, which is going to assume no down payment at all. And I think two more things to do are for the radio button for the 4 terms. That is the default, so that is going to be checked, so that's set to true. And then finally, we're going to set for LST rate dot selected index is going to be 10, which is the 2.5% we initially assumed to be the case. Okay, and then just a couple of more lines and we're done. After all the customers were processed and the average was calculated, and we presumably want to start with a whole new set of customers, we're going to use the second clear button, this little one here. I couldn't fit more of a better description, to clear both the MTH payments list box and the TXT average payment text box. So those are just 2 more lines of code. LST monthly payments dot items dot clear, and then TXT average payment dot clear. And I think we are done. We're going to save, and we're going to test this, make sure that it runs with let's say 5 customers. The first one, and this is going to be slightly tedious because you have to enter a bunch of numbers and check a bunch of boxes, but 15,000. I'm going to sort of make it up as I go along. Letter seats, power locks, navigation, trade-in of 5,000, and down payment on 20%, and 4 years for term, and 2.4 for the APR. Then we'll calculate that particular monthly payment of $236.20. You'll notice it's automatically added to the LST MTH payments list box. Then we can clear all the input. You can see how it reverts back to the original with the 2.5% and everything blank, and 4 years for the term. Then we're going to process the second customer, presumably borrowing 20 grand. Okay, letter seats, navigation, and say park assist, 2,000 for trade-in, 10% down payment just to be different, 6 years for the term of the loan, and 3.4% for the interest rate. Okay, $359.73 is added. Then we're going to clear that input. We're going to proceed to customer number 3, 17,000. We got navigation, power locks, and power assist, just park assist rather, just to kind of sort of be different. 3,000 for down payment. We got, for trading rather, we got no down payment. We got 6 years and 3.6 as the interest rate. Calculate that one, $317 even. Okay, we cleared that input. 2 more customers and we are done. 30 grand. Let me count my zeros right. We're going to have all the options for this spiffy car. We're going to trade in something that's equally impressive, 10 grand. No down payment, however, and the 5 years, let's say, with 2.7% to calculate $500 as a monthly payment or so. Clear that one, and the final customer, number 5, 25,000 No options, just to have no trade-in, no down payment, just to be quick, 5 years, and let's say even 3% gets us. Trade-in value must be a number, so let's enter, I don't know, $1,000 and calculate that to get 431,000. We have room for 5, although the list box would expand, and then we can calculate the average payment. $370 looks about right because of these two higher payments at the bottom. Now clearing input, clearing this list box, we're back at the beginning, and let's close the program, save any changes, and switch back to the last slide of the presentation. So this was the 7th video, a single recording for a change, and we introduced repetition structure with 3 different but related flavors: the do while, do until, and for next loops. We also demonstrated a more complicated nested loop structures and showed how to use list boxes for both input and output to a Visual Basic project such as Payment Calculator. This is the final slide of the final video of the class. Yay!